Good evening. We are live again from Milan, where Team USA tonight took home a flurry of medals. We'll have much more from the podium, as well as an update from Lindsey Vonn after her third surgery today. But we begin tonight with new details in the search for Savannah Guthrie's mother, Nancy Guthrie. Police detaining, questioning, and then releasing a man as part of their investigation into her disappearance. That whiplash coming just hours after the FBI released these chilling videos of an armed suspect outside Nancy's home on the night she was taken. Then overnight, that stunning detention that would last only hours, while authorities have not identified the man they detained or why. Carlos Palazuelos, a delivery driver seen here, says it was him. You'll hear what he told reporters moments after his release. Right now, authorities still counting on the public for their help. The Pima County Sheriff's Department says, get this, they've received nearly 18,000 calls since February 1st, with more than 20% of those tips made in the last 24 hours. At this hour, FBI agents going door to door in the Tucson area and also checking for any information and any areas around Nancy Guthrie's home. Our team is on the ground there, bringing you the very latest in the investigation. We want to begin tonight with Liz Kreutz, who leads us off from Tucson.
Tonight, more than 24 hours after those terrifying surveillance images were released, authorities still on the hunt for whoever is responsible for abducting Nancy Guthrie. Late yesterday, investigators detained but then released a man in connection to the case and conducted a court-authorized search of a property south of Tucson in Rio Rico near the U.S.-Mexico border. Authorities have not identified that man or said why he piqued their interest, but Carlos Palazuelos, a delivery driver, says he was the person they detained.
What the am I doing here? I didn't do anything, to be honest. Like, I'm innocent.
And you don't even know who the lady is? Do you know who Savannah Guthrie is?
No. Nothing. I don't follow the news.
Palazuelos spoke with reporters outside his home after he says he was released, saying he was driving for DoorDash when investigators surrounded him during a traffic stop.
They only asked me for my first name, my last name, my date of birth, and my social.
Okay. What were they asking you about?
Like, where my whereabouts.
Okay.
Where do I work? Where was I? And all that.
He says he delivers in the Tucson area, but does not know if he ever dropped off a package at Nancy Guthrie's home.
They show my in-law a picture of somebody wearing a mask or something, and they supposedly look like my eyes.
Right, okay.
And that's it. That's all I know. All I can say is they took my phone.
The Pima County Sheriff's Department says the detention was part of a follow-up on incoming leads now flooding in. 18,000 calls since February 1st when Nancy went missing, 4,000 in just the last 24 hours since those chilling images were released. But with nobody in custody after 11 days, the community here on edge.
My mom lives here in town. She lives alone. Now I'm worried as heck about her.
Tonight, the FBI says they are extensively searching the Catalina foothills around Nancy Guthrie's home, with several hundred detectives and agents actively working the case.
Liz joins us tonight from Tucson once again. Liz, you know, we saw all those tips that have been pouring in, especially in the last 24 hours, but it's been several days, I think almost a week since police last addressed the media.
Yeah, Tom, that's right. Tomorrow will mark 1 week since the last press briefing. We haven't gotten a lot of information from authorities aside from those images that were released yesterday, and we have no indication they're planning anything for tomorrow. We do know investigators have been painstakingly going through all of those tips. And meanwhile, here in the neighborhood, we are continuing to see a huge sign of support from the community. In fact, there's now a group community effort with neighbors placing yellow ribbons outside of their homes and yellow flowers outside of Nancy Guthrie's house, all as a sign of hope. Tom.
Okay, Liz Kreutz leading us off once again. I want to bring in NBC's Chief Justice and National Affairs correspondent Kelly O'Donnell, who's on the ground in Tucson tonight for us. So, Kelly, we've seen in the last several hours searches continue near the homes of both Nancy and Savannah's sister, Annie Guthrie's homes.
That's right, Tom. This was planned search efforts that have now been going on in areas that are near what we know to be the scene of the crime at Nancy Guthrie's home. And we know the last place that she was on that evening more than a week ago, and that was at her daughter Annie's home. Those are parts of the investigation that are certainly key locations and moving out from there. So we've seen a number of different groups of officers who are going through a sort of grid search in key locations. That effort is now also given some new direction. They're, of course, looking for any evidence they find, but they may have more inspiration for certain things based on those images that were released yesterday. If they were, for example, to find any of the gear that shadowy suspect in front of her front door was wearing, or the backpack, or any of those kinds of things, and they were ultimately tied to the case, that would be very significant evidence. It is also a case where there are certainly going to be things found that are not tied to the Nancy Guthrie disappearance. So it's painstaking work. It takes time, especially in the hot sun of Tucson, but they're working through that step by step. Tom?
And then, Kelly, as you've been reporting, the number of tips the FBI has received since releasing those images has skyrocketed. We saw that just in the last 24 hours. Are those tips continuing to pour in?
They do, and one of the challenges for those in the command center that are receiving and evaluating those tips is to try to sift through what might actually be of evidentiary value, a clue that might relate to those images that were made public in terms, again, of the clothing or the demeanor, the bearing of the person at the front door. Those kinds of tips can lead to specific steps. The Pima County Sheriff also reminded people today that it is not the place for conspiracy theories about the case or comments about what's happening, even expressions of concern, that it is really focused on those who might know something, might have seen something, or might have information that law enforcement can pursue. Tom?
All right, Kelly O'Donnell for us. Kelly, we thank you for that. I want to bring in our panel of experts again tonight. Mary Ellen O'Toole is a former senior FBI profiler. John Monahan is a retired NYPD captain, a good friend of the show. And Evie Pomporis, a former Secret Service special agent and an NBC News law enforcement analyst. We thank you all for joining us tonight. Mary Ellen, I'm going to start with you since you're new to the show. We didn't have you on yesterday. It's been 24 hours, right? A little more than 24 hours since we've seen those images released by the FBI. You've seen these images. You've analyzed them. Talk to us about maybe what's not obvious. And now that you've been able to sort of digest what you've seen, what stands out to you?
Several things stand out to me. And as an FBI agent and a profiler, I worked a lot of kidnapping cases from a behavioral perspective. And because of the actual crime itself, and this was successful, usually there is some indication when you have a low-risk victim in a low-risk environment, it suggests that the victim was targeted. And what that means in their own home, and what that means is that it's very likely that the offender had to do some kind of surveillance ahead of time to make sure that they understood the environment, they understood how the house was laid out, they understood how close the homes were to one another. And I think that's why you see people out searching the surrounding areas. But this is very likely somebody that did some planning ahead of time, not just to buy the clothing, but to really understand the environment and the layout of the home so that they could get in and be successful at what they did. I think that's really important to understand that, because with other crimes of kidnapping, I've seen that pre-planning behavior, where the offender has gone to the home to get a sense of what am I facing.
So, Mary Ellen, I want to be clear with our viewers here. Is it your theory that this person has been to Nancy Guthrie's home before? Is that what you're saying?
I think there's a very good chance that he has been there and that he has been through the neighborhood so he understands what the environment is like, yes.
John, we know police brought someone in for questioning but ultimately released him. Take our viewers inside what happened inside that interrogation room. And I don't want to do any kind of sort of Monday morning quarterbacking here, right? Because, you know, I'm not a law enforcement expert. I'm not a detective here. But did this hurt investigators in any way to get somebody so quickly, talk to them, and then suddenly release them, and it all played out in front of the news cameras?
Hurt them? No. And it's a good job they released him as quick as they did. Wouldn't take much to alibi him. You know, if there's a documented way of saying where he was at a specific time on a specific day, maybe he was at work, he was making a delivery. You know, delivery guys take a picture of what they left at your door. There's a number of different ways that he could have alibied himself very definitively, and then we're done here. So I don't think it didn't set them back at all. But, you know, thinking about this man, and he said, actually the sheriff said they tracked him down working off a tip. He said, the man himself, he thought a family member may have saw a similarity between his eyes and eyebrows and the man in the video. He thinks that's where it came from. We don't know if that's the case, but the sheriff did say that he came from a tip. interesting that, you know, these tips, it's going to take a lot of manpower to get through them. But, you know, what's more important, like they're literally beating the bushes physically around that house. You need to have people beat the bushes with interviews of all the people in the orbit of Nancy Guthrie's life and in their orbits. There could be a direct connection or an indirect connection. How did she get to that church group? Did she Uber? I know she took an Uber the last day she was seen, right? Line up all the Uber drivers. I'm sure that they spoke to all of them. Is there a place where they frequent? Is there a diner, a watering hole? Talk to the waitresses, talk to the bartenders. You know, it's a point of interest. It's this conversation starter to say, oh, I had a famous lady's mom in my car. Where were you the last time you had that conversation? Now let's go to that diner where we had that conversation and see who may have overheard it. Were there any, you know, characters here that made you feel uncomfortable? You talk to all the proprietors of the stores. I'll tell you what, Tom, you could build a box in a 10-mile radius, get every single camera that exists, doorbell cameras, commercial cameras, everything. Try and document every single vehicle that was on the move. It's the middle of the night. It's not going to be high volume. Then get every cell tower information for whoever's on their phone. Again, it's the middle of the night. You won't have a high volume. You build a box. You start eliminating people that don't fit the physical description. Now you start narrowing it down, narrowing it down. Meanwhile, you re-interview all her friends, particularly the church friends. Remember, I said last night, this didn't start with a 911 call. She didn't show up for Mass. People don't show up for Mass. Was there an underlying concern that they had that they have yet to even voice or consider themselves? Was there a minor dispute? Who knows? Interviews, I think, are the most important thing.
Evie, you know, it's sort of interesting, but this may be sort of common police work. They keep going back to her backyard. They're going to the sister, Savannah's sister's house. They keep going back there. They're going through the yard. I mean, this has been weeks now. What do you think they're trying to do here? What are they looking for?
Look, I do think that because the FBI's kind of come in here sort of, I don't want to say on the tail end, but in the recent days, that they're re-looking at things. And that's really, really important. You know, the FBI is going to have manpower, the tech, the resources. So they're coming in really kind of with a lot of muscle to help. So I think them going back, re-looking at things is really important. They're trying to do a good job. And even with the interviews, just to echo what John was saying before, I think sometimes we get so reliant on license plate readers and on technology and on cell phones that the boots on the ground and talking to people is another great way to create leads. You know, talking to people, getting information, getting admissions. It's not just getting confession, and then also clearing names. I was a polygraph examiner, interrogator, and one of the ways we would create new leads is by talking to people. Talk to people. They leak information. They share information. And all these little pieces that you get, that's how you start to connect the dots. Okay, this person said this. That's really interesting. This person said they also saw somebody going through the area. Oh, I wonder what that's about. It's really you're putting pieces of the puzzle together. So I think they really are doing their due diligence. And I would have to say that since the release of the static photos and the video footage, we are seeing a lot of movement, a lot of kinesis. Even in the video footage you're showing, you know, them going out, we're seeing kind of almost these concentric circles being expanded, right? They're pushing out their scope of looking for things, looking for anything that could have been discarded, clothing, items, right? Even out in the foothills that they're looking, vehicle tracks, right? Footprints. There's so much more to do. So they are on top of it. They're doing all these different things, and that's what you should be doing in an investigation. You don't want to rely on one lane. I want to do this here. I want to have my interviews. I'm going to do my forensics. I'm going to talk to people. I'm going to do my data on my license plate readers. I'm going to canvass the outside areas. So you've got layer upon layer upon layer of investigative techniques happening simultaneously.
Yeah, Mary Ellen, have you already built a profile of who you think may have abducted Nancy Guthrie and did this to her?
I've developed some behavioral characteristics that I think are applicable to this person, and I can give you an example of one. If you take a look at the behavior when he walks up on the porch, I'm not talking about his computer savvy with the doorbell, but when you see him walk up on the porch, he's just about ready to go into the home of an 84-year-old woman and commit one of the most violent crimes we know of, which is kidnapping. Notice what he doesn't do. He's not searching around. He's not looking over his shoulders. He seems comfortable. He seems relaxed. He seems just taking it in stride. That is really indicative to me of a couple of things, having possibly been there before, but also personality traits that he has. Again, This is should be a very stressful time. If any of us were the ones who did it, we'd be very stressed out. But look at how casual and easygoing he is. And I think, again, that goes to his personality, because he knows momentarily he's going to change this woman's life in a terrible way, and yet he's acting like that. You take your personality with you to the crime scene. So that's what investigators are looking for when they're looking for this individual away from the crime scene.
John, you know, and I don't know if we've heard about this, and I apologize to our viewers if we have, but we haven't heard a lot, at least I haven't read a lot about an alarm. If an alarm went off, if there was an alarm in the house, if even this person knew there was an alarm, could that be a big piece of this puzzle?
Oh, it could be if there is one. Like you say, I haven't heard that either. But touching on what Mary said, this kid, you know what?
Well, and I guess, John, before, let me follow up. I guess where I'm going with that is that nowadays so many homes do have alarms, right? And if this person were to know, and I don't want to speculate too much, were to know that either an alarm wasn't on or it wasn't working or there was no alarm, that would be a key piece of evidence, or at least a key piece that someone who had been in the house would have to know about.
You're right. And if there wasn't one, you know, the fact that she had a doorbell ring camera is indicative that maybe she did. But, you know, if there was an alarm and it was circumvented by this person, we'd have heard that by now, you'd imagine. I expected we would have. But no, you're right, Tom. That would be a very intriguing piece of information to have. Was there an alarm, and did he know that there was not one? You know, I think he was focused on that house, alarm or no alarm. He was going to go there and do this and work his way around the alarm the way he did with the camera. But if I could go back to what Mary Ellen said, remember I talked about that box of potentials from the area? Typically, we look for criminal records in there. In this case, he doesn't strike me as a guy that's been arrested in the past. I would look for mental health history, because what she said about how comfortable he looks, that could show you a little that he may be off mentally as well. And I would look for a history there. You never know. A nephew of a friend, of Mrs. Guthrie, of a neighbor, a little troubled. You know, you talk to people, like Evie just said. Interviews. You got to get everybody. A good detective can get people talking, and then can let them talk. And you'd be surprised what you can pick up and hear. I think this guy might have a history of mental illness as opposed to a criminal history.
We're going to have to wait and see. Hopefully they find him soon. John, Evie, Mary Toole, Mary Ellen, we really thank you for all that. Next tonight, the mystery over why the FAA decided to shut down the airspace around El Paso International Airport, only to reopen it a few hours later. Our reporting reveals a deep division between the FAA and the Pentagon with widely different explanations. Here's NBC's Tom Costello.
The question tonight, did the FAA close El Paso's airspace due to Mexican drug cartel drones, or because the FAA was worried about new anti-drone lasers being tested near the airport?
For the next 10 days, we're all sound stopped. So the airport's totally closed? Apparently.
The FAA's Notice to Airmen, or NOTAM, said El Paso had been designated National Defense Airspace, and the government may use deadly force against airborne aircraft that don't adhere to the order. But congressional, military, and aviation sources say the airspace was closed because of a dispute between the FAA and the military, as the government tests new laser technology to target cartel drones at Fort Bliss Army Base right next to the airport. Medical evac flights rerouted to New Mexico, airline passengers grounded.
Makes you wonder what could be happening.
But just a few hours later, the FAA reopened the airspace, and administration officials saying Mexican cartel drones breached U.S. airspace. The Department of War took action to disable the drones. From DOT Secretary Duffy, the threat has been neutralized. There is no danger to commercial travel in the region. Sitting on the border, El Paso's airport serves both Texas and New Mexico with 100 flights a day.
Decisions made without notice or coordination puts lives at risk and creates unnecessary danger and confusion.
Tom, this was nearly unprecedented. The FAA hasn't moved to close airspace for days on end since 9/11. In this case, it would have been 10 days. Government agencies have been warning about drug cartel drones, but this week, the lasers actually brought down a party balloon rather than a drone. Tom?
All right, Tom Costello for us. We're back in a moment with the fiery hearing on Capitol Hill. Attorney General Pam Bondi facing questions from lawmakers over those Epstein files. We'll show you those explosive exchanges. Plus, the tributes pouring in tonight for James Van Der Beek. A look back at the actor's life and iconic roles on screen. Chloe Malas will have that. Plus, the deadly highway crash after a bus carrying a college baseball team went off the road and flipped into a ditch. What happened ahead on Top Story. We are back now with that fiery hearing on Capitol Hill. Attorney General Pam Bondi and Democrats clashing over the Justice Department's handling of the Epstein files. Bondi also revealing the investigation into the Epstein case is not over. Our Hallie Jackson has those heated exchanges and the reaction from Epstein survivors.
A fiery hearing tonight, turning combative and contemptuous.
Do you want to go there, Attorney General?
Attorney General Pam Bondi sparring with lawmakers over the Jeffrey Epstein files.
And I told you about that, Attorney General, before you started.
You don't tell me.
Yeah, I did tell you because we saw what you did in the Senate.
Bondi pressed on whether there could be other prosecutions.
We have pending investigations in our office.
Potentially a reference to Democrats the president asked the DOJ to investigate. In contrast to the department's acknowledgement last year, they did not uncover evidence to warrant charging anyone new. Bondi accusing Democrats of using the Epstein case as a deflection.
The murder rate, as I said, has plummeted to a 125-year low thanks to Donald Trump. That's what we should be focused on.
And in her remarks, adding this to Epstein abuse survivors.
I am deeply sorry for what any victim has been through, especially as a result of that monster.
Bondi acknowledging the files did not redact private information of some survivors, some sitting right behind her.
Raise your hands if you have still not been able to meet with this Department of Justice.
Every hand going up.
Will you turn to them now and apologize for what your Department of Justice has put them through?
Why?
I have asked.
Didn't she ask Merrick Garland this?
Not long after the hearing, some survivors joining us.
All she had to do was turn around, and she could not even turn around and face us.
The president hasn't ruled out a pardon for Ghislaine Maxwell, but Bondi said today she's hopeful Epstein's convicted co-conspirator will, in her words, die in prison. Tom?
All right, Hallie Jackson for us. Now to an update on the story we brought you last night. Casey Wasserman, the head of a prominent Hollywood talent agency, will stay on as the chair of the upcoming 2028 Los Angeles Olympics. Wasserman has come under fire for his ties to the Epstein files, with stars like Chappell Roan leaving the agency after emails with Ghislaine Maxwell surfaced and despite mounting calls to step down. Today, the LA 2028 Executive Committee saying an outside legal review found his relationship with Epstein and Maxwell did not go beyond what has already been publicly documented and that Wasserman should continue to lead the games. Coming up tonight here on Top Story, the stunning rebuke of the Department of Justice, the grand jury refusing to indict Democrats who posted a video urging military members not to follow illegal orders. Plus, Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni meeting face-to-face in court. The latest on their legal battle and where things go from here. Stay with us. Back now with a major court loss for the Department of Justice. A grand jury rejecting the administration's attempt to indict 6 Democratic lawmakers who urged members of the military to defy illegal orders in this video posted back in November. The president then accusing those Democrats of, quote, seditious behavior. NBC Chief Capitol Hill correspondent Ryan Nobles helped break this story. So, Ryan, do we know about the DOJ's attempt to indict and why it failed?
Tom, we don't know the particulars of the charges that the Department of Justice was searching in relation to these 6 members of Congress, but we know that a grand jury rejected those attempts to indict these members of Congress. And all 6 of these Democratic members responded swiftly to this news, arguing that this was an intimidation tactic by the president and his Department of Justice. And they warned that it's not going to stop them from speaking out.
We hope that the news today is the end of the investigation, but hope is not a strategy. The president could easily watch this press conference, go high and right again, kick off another cycle of physical intimidation and legal intimidation.
And Senator Slotkin took it a step further, sending a letter to the Attorney General Pam Bondi demanding that she publicly state that the investigation is over. So far, the DOJ has not responded to that request, but we did hear from one prominent Republican, the Senate Majority Leader John Thune, who said that while he did not agree with the video that the Democrats put out, he also said that it was too much for them to be indicted over it. Tom?
All right. Ryan Noble's for us tonight. Ryan, thank you. We want to turn now to Top Stories news feed, and we start with a deadly mass shooting at a school in Canada. At least 6 people killed and more than 24 others hurt after police say an 18-year-old shooter opened fire at a school in a small town in British Columbia. Authorities say the suspect had been transitioning to female and that they also shot 2 other people believed to be their mother and stepbrother. We're told the shooter died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. And a deadly crash in Iowa after a bus went off a highway and overturned in a ditch. That bus carrying members of the baseball team at Iowa Lakes Community College. Authorities say at least 1 person was killed and that several others were hurt and rushed to hospitals, some by air ambulance. The cause of this crash now under investigation. And Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni meeting in court today for the first time since their legal battle started back in 2024. Lively is accused of Baldoni of sexual harassment and retaliation on the set of their film It Ends With Us, allegations that he has denied. After today's hearing, Baldoni's attorney said both sides have not yet reached a deal, so right now the trial is still on track to start in May. Okay. We're back now with our special coverage of the Winter Olympic Games here in Milan. Team USA absolutely dominating today in speed skating and moguls. And Chloe Kim back out on the half pipe as she looks to do something no Olympic snowboarder has ever done before, even Shaun White.
Tonight, Madison Chalk and Evan Bates poured their hearts out on the ice.
15 years of a partnership on the ice leading up to that moment.
The married couple hoped it would be enough for gold, but it was not to be. It went instead to a team from France, with Chalk and Bates taking silver.
The best speed skater in the world flies to an Olympic record and the lead.
While today's speed skating superstar Jordan Stolz shattered the Olympic record in his Milan debut, the start of what could be a golden run here.
Just takes practice, Jordan.
Stolz first started skating on a frozen pond in his Wisconsin backyard. And this is his elementary school back home celebrating his win.
Coming through the time of 25.81.
Team USA skiers also picked up 3 medals today, including going 1-2 in moguls.
Now Elizabeth Lemley, the 20-year-old of Vail, adds to that elite list.
And Lindsey Vonn posting these photos, a massive brace around her leg, saying she's cheering on her teammates from the hospital. This as Chloe Kim also competes hurt with a recently dislocated shoulder, but that didn't stop her from dominating during today's qualifying round.
That is why she is the reigning princess of halfpipe.
Tomorrow, Kim will look to make history with a 3rd consecutive gold.
And we'll see if Chloe Kim can add to this total tomorrow. But Team USA already collecting a lot of hardware today, behind only Norway and Italy in the overall count. Well, earlier I was talking about Shaun White, and tonight I had a chance to catch up with the snowboarding legend and 5-time Olympian and 3-time gold medalist to talk about Chloe Kim's historic run at a 3-peat and how she's pushing the sport to new heights. Here's our conversation. So, Shaun, what were your impressions of Chloe Kim today on the halfpipe?
I was really impressed. You know, she's coming off an injury on the shoulder that she had training, maybe competing in locks and Switzerland. And to fight through that, you know, it's physically jarring, mentally jarring, come through that, and she just looked strong. She was great, put down some amazing runs, took this top slot. So she's got a really nice position going into finals, you know, because they run reverse order. So she'll be dropping in last. It's the best spot to be in because you get to see all the runs before you and you get the final say at the end. So I don't know, she's looking great.
As somebody who's a GOAT in this sport, talk to me about her style and what she brings to the sport.
You know, Chloe's style, it's just clean. It's smooth. You know, if you've never really seen the sport before, really watch the edge You know, the path that they're taking across the flat bottom. You'll see a lot of competitors, you know, they'll speed check and they'll turn their board and do these kind of things. Her line is really pure. It's straight. It's down the line. It's gaining momentum through the half pipe. And when she does her tricks and her spins, she does it with this sort of, you know, just kind of power to it. There's no kind of arms flailing. She's committed. She's spinning. She's twisting, and she's holding her grab. So I don't know. When I really look at her run compared to the others, it's just in its own league. It's really in its own league.
I know in your coverage, and a lot of people obviously note this, the back-to-back 1080s, right? I can't even imagine doing one 1080. So what makes doing back-to-back 1080s so complicated?
Back-to-back 1080s, you know, it's one of those things where doing one 1080, like you said, is really difficult on its own. You know, that spinning, twisting, and when you're taking off the wall of the half pipe, you're already at this angle. It's not flat. You're already kind of sideways, and you're spinning at this corked rotation, right? Because you're not end over end flipping or spinning. And so you're coming out of a big spin like that, and then not only to do one of those, but you're landing switch and then going into your next wall, which is another 1080. And switch is referring to basically your unnatural way of riding. So if you're left-handed, then you're, you know, using your right hand. If you're stepping up to bat, switch-handed. It's a really difficult thing to do. She's got it dialed, obviously, but you know, the combination of tricks is where you really get the big scores. You know, if you do a setup trick and then you do a big 1080, that's amazing. Obviously, really hard to do. But if you're going 1080 into 1080, I mean, that's where the big scores come from.
You know, put it into perspective for us, Sean, right? Because you obviously, like I said, you're a master at this. You see a lot of snowboarding. For the viewers that are sort of just tuning into these winter games, maybe they're new to Chloe, right? We are watching somebody who may go down as one of the greatest ever in this sport. I know snowboarding is relatively very new to the Olympics, but put this into perspective for our viewers. We're watching one of the greats right now compete.
Yeah, look, I mean, pulling inspiration from my own career, you know, you're staying on top of a sport that's ever changing, right? It's almost like fashion or music. It's like setting the trend, like what's going to be the next big trick in X amount of years from now? And like, what should I be working on that others aren't working on? You know, really like technology. I mean, it's really trying to guess and be ahead of the curve of what's going down. And Chloe has been on top of her sport for the longest time, you know, similar to my career in a way, you know, year after year showing up, fighting through injuries, coming back and setting the trend for what the new tricks are going to be. And she's going for a three-peat, which is pretty incredible. 3 Olympics in a row to win gold. It's something I got close to. I didn't succeed. You know, I fell short in Sochi and came back to win my 3rd, but she is going consecutively 3 years in a row, potentially winning, and it hasn't been done before in the sport. So she's really obviously setting the bar pretty high for the generation to follow her.
Yeah, Sean, I wasn't going to go there, man, but since you opened the door, how is it to be sort of watching these Olympics, right, man? You were always so fun to watch, and we were always so proud of you when you brought home all that hardware in snowboarding. But I said, like, you know, you're the GOAT of the sport. Is it tough to be watching, not competing?
Mm-hmm. It's tough, for sure. Yeah, this is honestly my first Olympics not competing, so it's a mixed emotions. I haven't gone up for the men's half pipe yet. I got a taste of it watching Chloe, her smile, her excitement. You know, that feeling of succeeding, of making it through into finals and daydreaming of what that, you know, day is going to be like, what it'll feel like to win, to feel the weight of that medal. Yeah, so it's mixed emotions, but to be honest, like, as much as I daydream about that, I'm so thrilled at the role that I'm in now, being here on the broadcast side of things, talking with athletes. I have a brand called White Space. We make boards and outerwear and things, and I actually have two to three competitors that I sponsor that have made it to the Olympics, are here competing. One got into finals, Liz Hosking, she's Team Canada. But it's amazing. I feel like obviously, I'm not doing what I did before in the sport, but I still have this, as one door closed, another opened, and I'm doing all these amazing things still with the sport. And then on top of that, we have an event series called the Snow League, and there was a big event in China, one in Aspen, then one in China just before this Olympics, where I got to hang out with all these athletes, talk to them about their careers, what their path is like, and it's nice for me to be on this side of it, basically saying, hey, look, I've lived the life you've lived for the past 20 plus years. Like, I'm on this side now. Like, let me help. What do you need? What would make it better in this sport? So, yeah, it's not as great as putting the medal around the neck, but it does feel very fulfilling and very nice to still be this involved.
Well, it's so great to hear you. It's great to have you there in the broadcast booth. And it looks like your plate's so full. I don't know where you are doing this interview, but it looks like you're also managing a restaurant while you're here at the Olympics. So congrats to you, Sean, for that as well.
I do a lot of things. The pasta's terrific.
All right, we believe you. Sean, thank you for being so great, man. Have a great Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
And when we come back from Milan, much more of our special coverage of the Winter Olympics. We'll talk to American figure skating legend Scott Hamilton about that dramatic finish in the ice dancing competition, plus inside the mysteries of Leonardo da Vinci, our up-close look at one of his most famous masterpieces and his influence here at the Games. Stay with us.
We are back now with our special coverage of the Winter Games from Milan, and we are here at the Terrazza Martini, and you can see, of course, the Duomo behind us, and joined by an Olympic legend tonight, Scott Hamilton. He won gold in men's figure skating back in 1984. He's now an NBC Olympics contributor, and Scott, we're so happy to have you tonight here on the broadcast.
Beautiful,
beautiful, right?
Yeah.
I mean, look at the Duomo right there.
And driving here, we were going down all these really cool alleys and everything. Yeah. I felt like I was in one of those spy movies, back in the day. But it's just a beautiful city and a great backdrop for all the action that's happening.
And there was so much action tonight, right?
Drama tonight.
Drama. Let's talk about that ice dancing. Chalk and Bates, married, in love. That love pours out on the ice. What happened tonight? We're so proud. They got a silver. What happened tonight?
They were brilliant. They actually came out and delivered the goods, and I thought, whoa, this is going to be interesting. The score went up, and I said, this is going to be very interesting. And the French came out, and they had one minor little bobble, but it wasn't enough to prevent them from winning the gold medal. They were beautiful and stunning and amazing. And it's, Guillaume Cizeron is his second Olympics in a row with two different partners. And I was thinking, in Blades of Glory style, I'm going to audition for maybe next year. And I'll be the guy. I don't know. It's so high quality, and it's so articulate, and it's so demanding, all of this ice dancing and what's expected of these couples. And they all train together, which is really unique. But it was an exciting competition. Canadians came in third, and they were beautiful and brilliant. And our young American team, they came in fifth, and it was really exciting. The whole competition was great.
You sort of opened the door to my next question, which is about sort of this moment in ice skating and figure skating. It's incredible, right, where we are right now, the moves being done, the technical aspects to it. You won in '84. You're watching now in 2026. What are you thinking when you're covering these sports?
Well, I just see a lot of natural progression of sport. You see where all sports have gone, just... we've learned from the previous generation. For me, I was, Lutz guy, and then Axels came in, then quads came in, and now you see what Ilya Malinen's doing. Yeah. And it's just... there's rumors he's from another planet. He might be. He's just so gifted and in every aspect of the sport, and it's just he's kind of like taken it more than one leap. It's more like it's this gigantic, huge leap forward that's going to take, I think, the world a long time to catch up.
I agree. Let's talk about him. He's going to have his big skate Friday night. We saw him earlier this week. Just simply incredible, from the backflips to the quad axles to everything else he's doing on the ice. I also just love, I keep talking about this, his swagger out on the ice. Yeah. He just looks like he commands the ice, right?
Well, he can handle all kinds of music, and what he really likes to do is just be dynamic and mix the old with the new, and again, just his jumping capacity is, I've never seen anybody with such pure technique and with the ability to be so explosive out of the ice in perfection. Because if you back in the day, Jordan, when he used the basketball to get his second up, before the dunk, that's kind of what Ilya does. He starts to rotate, and the rotation and all of that torque just takes him up another few inches, and it gives him all the room he needs to be able to complete 4 revolutions, and with the axle, 4.5 revolutions. And I would be shocked if I didn't see him do a quintuple at some time.
Explain to our viewers, because like I'm the casual observer like a lot of our viewers. I mean, I was maybe the best ice skater on my block in Miami, Florida. But explain to our viewers, why is the quad axle, and I asked everybody this question because I'm sort of fascinated by it.
That's it. I did thousands of them in the day, but a quadruple axle just takeoffs and skating. So a lot of people think that all the jumps are the same because they look the same in the air when they land, because they are the same in the air when they land. It's the takeoff that makes them different. So the axle is unique to all the other 5 takeoffs, right? Because it goes off forward. And because it goes off forward and you land backward, it adds a 1/2 revolution. Now, your body learns the timing of these revolutions, and it gets it. Like, as soon as you rotate a triple for the first time, your body goes, I got it now, and you're able to rotate, right? When you get to 4 revolutions, and I never did, but when you get to 4 revolutions, it's what does it take to get to the 4.5? And Ilya figured it out, and no one in the history of the sport's been able to thus far. There's one guy, I think, in Russia that's rotated quad axle, but he's not competitive.
It becomes that challenge of what humans can do, right? The first guy to break the 4-minute mile, then everyone started breaking. It's like, but you're right. Who can catch up to Ilya after these Winter Games?
It's going to take a while.
It's going to take a while. We've had a chance to follow closely, especially I have Max Naumov's story. Had a chance to sit down with him there in Boston at his skating club. And he's an incredible kid. He had an incredible performance. What does he mean to your community? I mean, to see him to go out there and just perform and to deliver?
I've never been so sad as when that plane crash happened last January. I can't remember ever being so sad, because just the loss of life was so beyond anything that we have the capacity to endure. And so I had to be at Legacy on Ice. It was a show they put together in Washington to raise money for the families, and it was a beautiful night. And we went. My son and I, he came with me because he really wanted to meet Max and he wanted to pour into him. And what I witnessed that night, when Max Naumov took the ice and he skated to a song that his parents liked to dance to in the kitchen, and he skated to it, and it was something where I think everyone saw that we can put our grief on his shoulders. He'll carry it for us because he's brave and he's strong, and he's stepping into this void of being an orphan, like unexpectedly and like now. And I think everybody just attached themselves to him, and they wanted to see him succeed, and they wanted to see him take his life to the next level, and he has. And it's been extraordinary to see him just mature and to share his story with everyone, and to, again, be that person that's going to shoulder our grief. And he's an extraordinary, as you know, you spend time with him.
Right.
He's an amazing...
He's a champion, and you're proud that he's part of Team USA and that we have competitors like that.
And he skated great on the Olympic ice.
Great. I was in the arena. It was amazing. It was so great. Scott, it's been great to have you as well. We thank you for joining Top Story tonight.
My pleasure.
We'll continue to watch you in your coverage of the Olympics.
Yay! I love the Olympics.
Me too. And finally tonight, in between all of the Olympic action here in Milan, we got the chance to see one of the world's great masterpieces, Leonardo da Vinci's Last Supper, on display, along with a second long-hidden painting. In fact, even the Olympic cauldron here in Milan this Winter Games are influenced by the Renaissance master. Let's take a look.
Every night in Milan, a crowd gathers at the Arco della Pace to see a fire in the sky. The Olympic cauldron may be for the 2026 Winter Games, but the inspiration comes straight from the Renaissance and one of its masters, Leonardo da Vinci, and his geometric studies. Da Vinci and his art remain an enigma, full of clues to deeper stories he told through his paintbrush, and studied nearly every day here at the Leonardo da Vinci Museum of Science and Technology.
So this monastery is more than 500 years old?
Yes. Tonight, we were given private access to one of Da Vinci's most famous works, The Last Supper, painted in the late 1400s on a wall of a monastery.
What makes The Last Supper a masterpiece?
Yes, many things. All the people depicted here are so alive. everyone is expressing something, telling a story, a relationship, an emotion.
The painting capturing the moment Jesus told his 12 apostles one of them would betray him.
The one who betrays Jesus is Judas Iscariot, and we can see him to Jesus' right. What is Judas doing there that sets him apart?
Yes, you know, Judas is the third on the left. He's holding his right hand a bag with the money, the cost of Christ, and he's going back with his body while most of the others are looking towards Christ. So there are different movements that in contrast, and it's very, very dynamic composition.
What other clues did Leonardo leave us to sort of tell the story of the Last Supper?
Christ, you see, his right hand, he's going out of the space, it's like he's conquering the space in front of us. St. Thomas is pointing to the sky, while St. Jacob is opening his hands in surprise.
And then there's even a weapon at the table, right? There's a knife.
Yes, there is a knife on the hand of St. Peter.
Our hunt for Da Vinci's secrets also took us inside Milan's famed castle. We got rare access to another Da Vinci work, a long-hidden, unfinished painting, open to the public just during the Olympics while it's being restored.
Why do you think all these centuries later we're still trying to figure out Leonardo da Vinci?
Leonardo is a key to desire knowledge, desire of infinity, of something that is beyond the power of man. So that's why he's so fascinating for everyone in the world.
All right, that does it for us tonight from here in Milan. We thank you so much for watching Top Story. I'm Tom Llamas reporting from the Winter Olympics. Stay right there. More news on the way. We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.